Welcome. It is Sunday. I hope you are having a relaxing day and getting ready for the week. I am getting ready because I'm going to be traveling to New York next week to film a segment. And a friend called me to let me know that an article that I did is been released in Psych Today, Psychology Today, the magazine. So that's exciting news. I still haven't seen it because I haven't seen the magazine yet, but hopefully they'll send me a copy soon. Uh, Today, having a conversation with a friend of mine brought up this topic for me that I thought we should talk about, which is, hey Lele, nice to see you. What does it mean to love ourselves? How do we? This person is trying to recover from a difficult emotional experience, emotional abuse, divorce, etc., and struggling with, um, I guess, releasing that anger and coming to terms with that. But as part of that, there's also, the element of when we have gone through a lot of abuse, or maybe, yeah, and so that emotional abuse can be done by our parents. It's not necessarily getting beaten or something like that, right? It can be just where we have, you know they treated us in a particular way, right? Like, let's say maybe your parents made you feel like you were never good enough, and no matter what you did and how hard you worked, it was never enough. So that can be a type of emotional abuse, right? They're not beating you or hitting you or doing anything like that. But that type of psychology where you don't experience that unconditional love can follow you through your life, where you are. And of course, it's worse if you actually did have parents who actually were abusive, right? Um, and so people can go in different directions with that, and they develop different types of kind of addictions or ways to cover that pain that they feel, or that hole or that emptiness, um, where they have a sense that they're not good enough, right? That sense. And so, one of the more negative ways people choose to try to cover that up is obviously with things like drugs or alcohol, or, porn addictions or other things like that, where they're trying to sort of numb themselves to that pain. A more socially acceptable way of doing that is to strive for a lot of achievement in life, right? To keep always like, I'm going to get this degree and that degree, and I'm going to do this and achieve that and make this much money, right? And this constant striving for achievement. And that can appear to have a very positive effect, right? Because that can mean that they do well in their lives, at least as far as the rest of the world viewing them sees, right? They get a lot done, they accomplish a lot. Like for me, I went to, top schools. I worked really hard. I got great grades. I was able to go to top law firms, right? So I pursued that myself. And, but eventually you run into a wall where you are like, okay, I still keep trying for all these achievements, but it's not filling that hole, right? And there's still that anger and despair and frustration and pain that exists. And how do we deal with that when we come face to face with that? And that's what can happen to a lot of people, where their marriages are dissolve, and they start having trouble with their kids, or right, all this other stuff starts to come up with their health, because they've just been under such strain and stress and pushing themselves so hard all those years. So there's a lot of symptoms that come up that show us, hey, something's out of balance here, something's not right. And what do you do when you recognize that? And what is one of the keys to really healing? And so that aspect, when I think about that, it's one of the first things I go to is, did anybody ever teach you how to love yourself? Did anybody ever teach you what love is, what acceptance is? Do you accept and love yourself? Are you able to uh, use those words? So before, remember, I taught you some words of like, how do I see love, right? What things represent love to me? Acceptance, gratitude, caring, respect, affection. And you can ask yourself, do you show yourself those things? Do you treat yourself in that way? Do you show yourself gratitude? Do you say, you're grateful to God, but also grateful to your body for working so hard to keep you alive, right? Or do you pamper yourself? Do you do nice, sweet things for yourself like you would do for someone that you truly loved and were in love with? Do you take care of yourself? Do you treat your body with respect? Do you treat yourself with respect? How do you speak to yourself? Um, and turning that on you, right? So this is why one of the exercises that I teach people to do, and it's something I learned from my coach mentor, was tapping and saying, with all that I am, with all that I feel, I unconditionally, wholeheartedly love, accept, and forgive myself today. So that just bringing yourself into that space of love for yourself. And one of the things that a lot of therapists and coaches will teach you to do is to actually spend time giving yourself that love that maybe you didn't get from other people. Maybe you didn't get that unconditional love from your parents. Maybe you never experienced it. Maybe you didn't get that from anyone in your life, and that's left a hole inside of you. And so now is the time where you can fill that hole, right? You're able to give that to yourself. And I mean, for me also, I I feel that God gives that to me. I feel that I have that unconditional love and acceptance from God. But it's also something that I have learned to give myself, that I've learned to take care of myself and to fill up my own love cup, right? And that's really important to learn how to do. And one of the symptoms that you've never done this, I think, for some of us who are overachievers, is when you can't stop. When you can't stop doing, working, moving, achieving, when you just feel like you can't stop, that's a symptom that you haven't done this, right? That's a symptom that you don't value yourself just for being you, that you are valuing yourself based on your achievements, based on what you do, not who you are, right? And that's a big symptom. That's a big red flag, right? That it's time to go in and to try doing some of these exercises. Maybe work with a coach or work with someone that can teach you about this stuff. There's lots of great resources, but how you can start to give love to yourself and how you can start to heal that wound and that hole that tells you that you are not lovable or you are not worthy if you are not doing, if you are not achieving, right? A great question that my coach Lyra had asked in her book, one of her books, which I highly recommend. It was, who are you without all of that? Who are you? Who would you be without your education, without your job, without money, without your looks, without your youth, without your beauty, without, right? Like, who would you be without all of that? And is that somebody that you could love and just value just for being you? And so that's a great question to ask. And I think most of us, honestly, um, wouldn't have a very good answer for it. And so that's when we understand that that's the goal of where we're going, right? To love and to value and to feel gratitude for our life and ourselves just for making it, for being here, for being alive, for getting up every day and doing, uh, and, and to value each other, to value other people for that. That it's not necessarily all that we do, but who we are and how are we working to be that person, to be loving, to give love to ourselves and to other people, right? So that's something I wanted to talk about, which is, what does it mean to love yourself? And how is that play, and how is that so important when we're talking about healing? Because that's really such an important key to the healing process, is healing those old wounds of abandonment and lack of conditional love. And basically lack of unconditional love. And how do we do that? There are ways that you can do that. There are ways you can heal those old wounds. They do exist. And so if you find yourself, if you're one of those people who finds yourself constantly trying to distract yourself, constantly feeling like you have to achieve the next big thing or you're of no value, right? Um, and if you are constantly working and you really struggle to take time just to be, just to walk in nature, just to, enjoy, if the thought of taking time off is horrifying to you, then look at that about yourself, because it may be that you're still trying to prove yourself, you're still trying to prove you're worthy based on these old wounds that perhaps were created by your parents by not really showing you that unconditional love and acceptance. And so, if you want to really come to a place of contentment and deep peace, then that's something you have to work on. That's something you're going to have to give yourself. And that's something that I have had to work on for myself. So I know what it's like, and there are ways to do it. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that, about what does it mean to love ourselves, and to give that to ourselves if maybe we didn't get it. And what does it look like when we don't? Because I think sometimes people don't even recognize that that exists, that that's a thing. So I hope you guys have a beautiful Sunday and that you do something today to love yourself, to show yourself respect, gratitude, acceptance, and caring, to do something for yourself that is just that. And it's not based on what you did or what you accomplished. It's just based on the fact that you are a beautiful miracle. Just you, just being here. So have a good, wonderful Sunday, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Bye.